Ja.
Okay. So, this is Nathaniel. Good friend. Guter Freund. Wir haben uns kennengelernt hier im Rosenhofpark. Ich habe mal jemanden gesucht, der mir hilft, so Energien zu reinigen. Und dann habe ich in einen Facebook-Chat geschrieben, also eine Gruppe, gibt es eine Facebook-Gruppe. Ja, wir suchen jemanden, der wirklich Räume reinigen kann. Und so. Und dann schreibt er so, ja, ich kenne da einen in Basel. He's the best. Und so, ja, sicher. Das kann jeder sagen. Und in jedem Fall haben wir uns dann kennengelernt und dann ist er gekommen und er hat Fähigkeiten. Das glaube ich ihm, nicht nur glauben, sondern erfahre ich selber mit ihm in Kontakt. Und das ist schon faszinierend. Zu sehen über Grenzen vom Verstehbaren, zu sehen, zu hören vor allem. Und das in so einer ausprägten Form, auch wenn er das hat. Das habe ich jetzt selten begegnet, zu dieser Klarheit. Und es ist fast so, dass mein Gefühl ist, irgendwie fast mehr von der anderen Welt immer mitbekommt als von dieser. Und dort immer muss filtern, oder? Also was er jetzt wahrnimmt, da in dem Raum, können wir in dem normal geprägten uns nur so begrenzt vorstellen, glaube ich. So, whatever you perceive now in this space, you see the people, the bodies and the people and living people, but there's so much more you perceive now. I can imagine.
It's quite full.
Ja. Weil alle bringen noch Leute mit, die vielleicht möchten ihm irgendetwas sagen. Weil sie wollen die Gelegenheit nutzen, oder? Sie drängen dann ihm und so. Das werden wir sehen, aber das ist eigentlich nicht das Ziel heute. Mal schauen, was passiert, dass wir so Einzelsessions machen. Sondern das Anliegen war, dass er mit seinen Guides mal in Kontakt geht und sagt, ja gut, was möchten die denn uns mitteilen bezüglich, wie könnten wir als Kollektiv da weiterkommen. Und das ist eigentlich so in dem Sinne das erste Mal, wo er das macht, von dem her, wir lassen uns überraschen, was passiert. Es gibt keinen Plan für jetzt die 45 Minuten. Und er weiß es auch nicht. Und wir starten einfach. Und
You carry on.
Ja. Ich habe schon genug geredet. Aber ich bin selber ganz neugierig, von dem her. Welcome, Nathaniel.
Yeah, thank you, my friend.
Here.
Yeah.
And you carry on.
Yeah. So, give me a start point. What are you guys most interested in? Is it the spiritual world in terms of the dead part? Because my understanding of the spiritual world is that there are a lot of different layers. You've got the people who've passed into the spirit world. You've got the spiritual guides and teams that look after us. You've got the angelic world, and there are lots of different levels. So who's interested in what level?
Das schnell übersetzen. Also er fragt eigentlich, was sind interessiert, um mal einen Ausgangspunkt haben, zum Starten. Seine Wahrnehmung ist, dass es verschiedene Ebenen gibt. Es gibt die Welt der Menschen, die gestorben sind. Es gibt aber auch Engelsebenen so, oder energetische Wesen. Und dort ist die Frage, wo dass er jetzt ein bisschen einklinken und so, wo das Interesse da ist.
In dieser Reihenfolge?
In this... Yeah.
People that passed away.
Okay.
No?
Our guides.
Okay, so everything. Okay. So let's start with the guides then. Guides, my understanding of the guides, I want to make something very clear that I can't say the truth. I can only say what I believe to be true. So everybody's truth is different. So I can only pass on the information that I have and my understanding of it.
Also er fängt einfach an mit dem Geistführer und er kann einfach nur von seiner Wahrheit erzählen, das, was für ihn wahr ist, und er tut das weitergeben. Ja.
Yes, guides, obviously we all have them, except for one person in my career who didn't have any. So 99.9% of people have spiritual guides.
Also wir haben alle Geistführer und mehrere. Ausser jemand, den er bis jetzt getroffen hat, nur jemanden gehabt. Nur einen Geistführer.
And the one person...
Oh, gar keine, ja?
Keine.
You have met one person who had no guest?
Yeah.
No. Okay, yeah, sorry. Also,
Yeah.
at least one.
Just one person, and I've met thousands of people, so let's say pretty much everyone. And that was a special case because she had no choices in her life. Everything was already planned out for her, and she never felt she had to choose anything. She just felt that everything worked. And so she didn't need a guidance team to guide her because everything was already planned. And she actually felt comfortable all the time.
Planned in the spiritual world
Yes,
or on...
both actually. So the spiritual world and her, she was very connected with the energetic flow. So she never chose anything, she just went.
Yeah.
So.
Also der einzige Mensch, den er getroffen hat, war eine Frau, die hat keinen Führer gehabt, weil alles schon klar definiert war, vorgeplant war. Sie hat gar nicht müssen entscheiden. Und dadurch did she didn't need any support in that, also keine Unterstützung.
But we'll deal with the 99.99% of the rest of us. Guides are always there, so my understanding is that they've been in a human form, so they have a connection to the physical world, but they also obviously are in the spirit world. So they have a different understanding of us than the angelic world. If we say to the angelic world we want a new house or a new car, the angels don't really understand what it is that we're asking for. But the guides understand that we're not asking for a new car, we're missing something. There's something in us that we're looking for. We need a bigger house, we need a different car, we need a better job, we need more money. But there's always something that we're missing. And the guides, because they've been in the physical world, they understand this. So they can talk with the angelic world and translate that information through.
Also Geistführer sind die sind schon mal auf dieser Welt gewesen, darum verstehen sie die Welt und können so noch besser übersetzen auch von der energetischen Welt. Sie sind wie in beiden Ebenen, wo so Engelwesen, engelhafte Wesen, die sind noch nie da gewesen, sondern sind noch nie da gewesen, die beschreiben gewisse Fragen wie nicht. Also, wieso, dass man einen Wunsch nach einem Auto hat, neu, das können sie nicht so zuordnen. Darum sind Guides da sehr wertvoll, weil sie beide Welten kennen.
Yeah, what you said, yeah. And the guides, obviously, they're normally not family members. So family members do a similar job. They look after us, they try and give us guidance. But our guides, I'll give you an example. If you're going to walk outside of here today and get run over by a car, break a leg and end up in hospital, your family might say, no, I don't want that. I don't want my family member to suffer. I don't want the pain. So they step in and try and stop it. But your guides would see, okay, she gets hit or he gets hit by a car, breaks a leg, goes to hospital, meets this wonderful person who opens up a huge new chapter in their life and things go in a better direction. So they see a bigger picture and so often don't step in. When we think something is going wrong, they often don't step in because they can see ultimately it's taking us in a good direction. So they're not so emotionally connected to us, whereas family are. But family do a similar job, but perhaps not always in the best way. It's their judgment they're using of how to protect us rather than looking at the bigger picture.
So zusammengefasst, Guides sind nicht ideal als Familienmitglieder sind nicht ideal als Guides, weil sie sind wie befangen, sie wollen auf eine Art uns beschützen. Aber ab und zu ist eben gut, dass man gewisse Sachen erfährt, damit man Sachen erleben kann, die vorher nicht möglich gewesen wären. Eben aufgrund von schwierigen Umständen einen wunderbaren Menschen zu treffen, der vorher nicht entstanden ist. Darum most of them are not family members, actually. So
I have come across it occasionally, but in general, no. Now, there are also power animals. That's another thing that we connect to and we get information from and guidance from. This is another area of our guidance team. So we have a lot of different spiritual connections that we can use to help us on our journey.
What was that? Para?
Power animals.
Power animals.
Power animals,
Yeah.
also Krafttiere.
Ja,
Uns
Krafttiere,
begleiten
ja.
gibt's auch, ja. Mhm.
You want to?
And that's okay. I think that's enough, yeah.
Yeah?
Es gibt ganz viele verschiedene Ebenen, die sie unterstützen. Ja.
So, guides, everybody has at least one. There'll be one guide that will be with you the whole time. So, even when you're in the bathroom, there's going to be a guide with you. So, you have to get used to not being alone. But then you'll have one or two other guides, maybe even, I've seen as many as 10. And everybody, I don't understand who chooses how many guides for which person. It has nothing to do with how strong you are or how weak you are. You can be a really weak person with one guide and a really strong person with 10 guides. So I don't understand actually how that works. I mean, do they pull lots out of a hat somewhere and choose a person? I don't know.
Also jeder hat eben mindestens ein Guide, einen Führer, aber man kann auch viel mehr haben, bis zu 10 hat er gesehen. Aber das ist kein Qualitätsmerkmal, dass man irgendwie besonderig ist, wenn man mehr oder weniger hat. Also man hat schon ganz viel, dass ein schwacher Mensch mehr braucht oder umgekehrt.
I experienced this many years ago when I first realized that our guides are not always just staying with us. So we have one that stays with us the whole time. Then maybe there's a second one that checks in once a week or once every 2 weeks. And then there's maybe a third one that comes and checks every few months. And when we need more, they come. And then we have 2 or 3 of us with us at the time when we need more support. But there's a limit to what the guides can do. We have free will. So we can ask for more help, but they sometimes can't step in until we ask. So there's, yeah.
Also es gibt immer ein Guide, ist immer dabei, dann andere kommen so ein paar Mal pro Woche oder eins pro Woche und ein dritter spezielle Situationen und andere, wenn wir fragen, kommen noch mehr für Unterstützung. Aber das Wichtige ist, wir haben immer den freien Willen, also sie können gewisse Sachen nicht für uns machen. Sie können uns unterstützen, aber wir haben die Entscheidung am Schluss.
And I had a funny experience with one guide some years ago. I was working with a person and the guide came in the room and he introduced himself and the person I was working on asked for a name. And now this is always difficult in the guide world because they have a vibration. So a vibration is unique, it's like a fingerprint. And everybody recognizes each other by that vibration. But can you put that vibration into a word? No. It's like the artist formerly known as Prince. You know, it's how do you put a symbol or a vibration into a word? And so they'll give you a name. If you really want a name, they'll come up with a name that you can connect to, but it's not their name. It's not possible to actually give us their real name.
Also es kann sein, dass wir Menschen dass wir neugierig sind, wie die heissen könnten. Und das ist schwierig, weil sie haben wie einen Fingerabdruck, aber das ist mehr eine Frequenz, die sie haben. Da können sie sich gegenseitig erkennen. Und den Namen ist das schwierig zum Ausdrucken. Und dann kann es aber sein, dass sie einen Namen geben, aber das ist mehr, damit wir etwas haben, wo wir uns orientieren können.
And I met this guide and my client asked, can I have a name please? And he gave a name. And then we had a discussion and it was very good and she was very happy. And then maybe 2 or 3 years later, I had a different client and the same guide came into the room and said, well, I'm this person's guide. And I was like curious because I know you're also somebody else's guide. So, okay, I don't say anything. And then they asked, can you give me a name? And he gave a different name. And it was a name this person connected to. So at the end of it all, I didn't say anything to my client. I finished and they were very impressed and very grateful for the information. And I asked the guide to stay afterwards because I wanted to talk to them and say what's going on. And he explained, look, there are the main guides. So there's one guide that stays with each person, and I'm one of the guides that comes in and out. And I thought, yeah, but I thought you were that person's guide. And he said, yes, but what am I doing the rest of the time? You know, it's not like I come one day and then I have 3 weeks off. You know, and I was like, okay, so you're actually also other people's guides in between. So we have our own guide, and then we share other guides with other people. So, and yeah, sorry.
Kurz, was ein bisschen zusammenbringen, mir ist eine Klientin gekommen und die hat einen Namen wählen, dann hat sie einen Namen bekommen von dem Guide und dann später trifft er einen anderen Klient und der kommt dann, der Guide erkennt, das ist der gleiche Guide, der kommt und der sagt, er ist auch sein Guide und gibt ihm einen anderen Namen. Und so war ich durcheinander und dann hat er gesagt, du, was ist jetzt da los zu dem Guide, hat er gesagt, und was ist das? Und er hat gesagt, nein, ich wechsle, ich kann bei einem anderen, wenn ich der Guide bin von einem Mensch, dann kann in der Zwischenzeit aber irgendwo noch jemand anders aushelfen auf eine Art. Und das funktioniert das. Also sie wechseln da untereinander. Und eben, was mache ich in der Zwischenzeit, wenn ich nichts zu tun habe, dann kann ich bei anderen helfen. Bei anderen. Ja.
Yes, so it's a complex actually world with the guides, talking with them, and of course you've all got guides in the room with you at the moment, so it's and you've got family members here too, so it's quite busy.
Es hat ganz viele Guides jetzt da präsent, aber es hat Familienangehörige, Verstorbene, die da sind.
Fortunately, so far everybody's getting on with each other, so there's no fights amongst the spiritual world. That's good.
Ja, dass alle einigermaßen miteinander auskommen.
Does the spiritual world fight?
Good question.
Ob sie kämpfen in der spirituellen
The
Welt.
side said no one's fighting right now. So do they fight?
There are disagreements. So sometimes you'll have 2 or 3 guides in the room and they won't always agree. So most of the time they do. Most of the time they know the plan and they think it's right. And then occasionally you'll get one guide who'll say, I'm not so sure, maybe we need to look at it in a different way. And so they then talk about it and then try and find a good way forward. So there are occasional disagreements. I've never seen them throwing anything at each other yet, but there are sometimes not full agreement until they've communicated with each other. And sometimes then they have to talk with the angelic world and ask the angelic world, what is the right thing to do here? So,
also sie eben Meinungsverschiedenheiten gibt, wo sie sich nicht einig sind, die Guides, und dann müssen sie das wie aushandeln, aber es sind nicht richtige Kämpfe, sondern einfach eben strengere Konversationen. Und dann, wenn sie aber da keine Lösung finden, dann gehen sie eben höher zu den Engelswesen, fragen, um Rat fragen.
And the animals, the spirit animals?
yeah.
What can you see soon?
It's an adjustment in the vibration. So for me, I then have to adjust my sight from the guides world and the mediums side over to the animal world. They run on a different vibration. And then if I click over, then I can see the other side of it. And again, you've got a similar process with the animals. Some people have 1, some people have 2, 3, 4. We're all different. And I don't know who chooses how many animals each person should have or whether we're born with a certain number of them. Actually, I don't know.
Also sie hat gefragt nach Krafttieren, wie das ist, und er sagt, die muss wie so den Blick verändern in eine andere Frequenz. Und dann sieht er die und Menschen haben eins oder mehrere Krafttiere. Er weiß aber nicht richtig, wie die, bei den Guides hat er das gesagt, wie die ausgewählt werden, wie das entschieden wird, dass man Krafttiere hat und wer.
So one cannot beg for a good one. For example, if I have a good mental animal, power animal, but not a good earth animal that connects me with the ground, I cannot call for help.
Why not?
I ask. I can call, but it's because you said you don't know how they are choose.
No, actually I don't know, but if you want to connect to nature or a specific animal in nature, you can also do that. So you can connect with trees, you can connect with water, you can connect with the earth, you can connect with fire if you like. There are many different things you can use to help you on your journey. Not just your power animals, not just your guides, not just the angelic world. There are many extra things that you can use. And that includes the animal world. So you can use the spirit of, I don't know, let's for instance say the tiger spirit. Now, if you use the tiger spirit, you're connecting to the spirit of all tigers. So it's not an individual. So you can use the spirit of a certain type of animal to help with the type of power that you want to create in your system, but that's not an individual animal you're connecting to. So your power animals will be with you and they'll help you with that, but you can use the animal energy in a different way to what you're talking about. But it's the same outcome. You still get the benefit of that type of animal, but not necessarily an individual one.
Also ich habe gefragt, ob es möglich ist, dass man sich wie ein Krafttier ruft, das einem dann begleitet. So direkt wie nicht, dass man sagt, ich will jetzt einen Wolf, der mich begleitet und das wird zu einem Krafttier, wie das entschieden wird, weiß er nicht. Aber man kann sich mit der Energie vom Wolf verbinden und um Unterstützung fragen, dass die Wolfsenergie mich begleitet. Und das ist möglich.
Do animals have guides?
Ah,
Haben Tiere?
great question. This is a complicated field for me because I've looked into a lot with the animals, and there are some animals have a human soul in them, some animals have just an animal soul in them, and then there's, you know, when you get down to the size of an ant, I mean, is it strong enough to hold a full soul? This has always been something I've looked into, and they have, like the plant world, for instance, if you go out in the forest and you look for a tree, most trees will have a guide of some kind as an individual. But the forest will have a bigger guide that looks after the whole forest. And the same with the animals. My understanding is that some animals are big enough or powerful enough to need an individual guide. But if you're talking about ants, they tend to have a guide that works for a group rather than individual ants. That's a lot of guides. If okay.
Mit den Tieren, die auch Guides haben. Also es sagt, es gibt Tiere, wo man sagt, Menschenseelen in sich haben und andere, die Tierseelen in sich haben. Das ist bei den Menschenseelen sagen wir jetzt mal eher, dass sie Guides haben. Dann gibt es bei den Ameisen zum Beispiel gefragt, die haben nicht die einzelnen Guides, sondern mehr den ganzen Stamm oder die Ameisenhaufen hat einen Guide oder so. Und dann, das ist, dann hast du noch etwas gesagt.
Mit den Bäumen.
Ah, Bäume, genau, Bäume und Pflanzen haben auch Guides, aber ein Wald hat wie auch einen Guide. So maybe the forest they have even energetic beings. More.
Yes, but they're not necessarily guides. There are lots of different energetic beings within forests that are not guides.
Okay, aber gibt es natürlich auch Wesenheiten in den Wäldern, die nicht Guides sind, die dort hilft denen.
Yes.
Okay, wo dort wohnen.
And how about dragons?
What about them? Dragons as in Krafttier? Or,
Yes.
okay, it's half and half is my understanding. They're, we class them as an animal maybe and say that they're a power animal. The spiritual world actually classes them as something different. So it's a different energetic bracket, like unicorns. Actually, unicorns have their own special space. Are the same with dragons. Dragons, I mean, I've come across them. I've met, I think, 2 people who had dragons as guides, but it's unusual. So it's possible, but unusual. And I don't know if there's a specific type of energy that perhaps we step into where we need that kind of support that we can't get from the human world or people who've passed over. The type of vibration that they have may not be suitable for the space that we're in. And so a dragon might step in that moment and support us. But normally we don't have a dragon who stays with us all day, every day. That I haven't come across, but I have seen dragons around people before. Why they want to help us and support us, I don't know, because we've done terrible things to them in the past. But it seems that they... Sorry?
You don't know why? Because we don't have... I didn't understand.
Yeah, sorry. We've done terrible things to dragons.
Okay.
So I don't know why they still want to help us. Same with trees. I don't know why trees still want to help us, because we do terrible things to them all the time. But it seems that they are still there for us.
Also nur zu der Frage von der Drachen. Die Frage Drachen als Guide, das hat er zweimal gesehen. Das ist einfach selten, weil die Drachen haben wie eine andere Frequenz oder wie die Einhörner, die sage ich jetzt, die leben in anderen Dimensionen, wo jetzt eigentlich nicht so direkt mit uns verbunden ist. Und, aber Dragons hat es gehabt, und wenn ich die begegnet habe, das ist ein ganz entscheidender Moment gewesen, wo sie unterstützt haben. Und er fragt sich aber auch, wieso dass sie uns überhaupt noch helfen, weil Menschen haben denen viel Schlimmes angetan. Und genauso geht es den Bäumen eigentlich auch, dass die uns noch unterstützen, wo wir ihnen so viele schlimme Sachen antun. Aber sie bleiben hartnäckig, positiv.
In which realms do you see the dolphins and the whales?
Delfine und Wale.
Are you talking about the physical ones or the spiritual ones?
I met them, they're both for me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I talk about physical ones in that way when you ask.
Also die realen, physischen.
I have to apologize. Sometimes the spirit world takes me into a different kind of frequency vibration. I step sideways a moment, so
Just let you know, it's not important.
actually it is really important. It's a really important question.
Also es nimmt ein bisschen weg in eine andere Ebene, aber das ist wichtig, dass das passiert ist.
Whales and dolphins. Now, the spiritual world, again, they're subdividing this. So they put whales and dolphins. These are two different types, and then they subdivide that again, different types of whales, different types of dolphins. Now, some whales and some dolphins are very connected to humans. Some whales and dolphins don't like us. So is there a surprise they don't like us? I mean, it's, again, we've done terrible things to them. Now, energetically speaking, they know, probably as much as we do, that they've been here long before we were, and they will be here long after we've gone. So they're a being that's very connected with the earth, more than we are. We've lost a lot of the ability to connect to nature. Whales and dolphins are connected to everything, land-based and water-based. They sense everything because vibration from the land goes through the water. So they're aware of everything that's happening in a way that humans, I think we were aware of it, but I don't think we're aware of it anymore. So they're classed as a... Oh, sorry, I keep talking.
Zu den Delfinen und den Walen, also es gibt da unterschiedliche Kategorien. Es wieder die spirituelle Welt trennen, Delfine und Wale auch wieder untereinander und Delfine auch. Und da gibt es solche Delfine, die uns gut sind, also beides, Wale und Delfine gut sind und andere, die uns nicht so toll finden. Ja. Und das hängt damit zusammen, weil sie einfach viel weiter sehen, also was wir auch machen. Und das Weitere, und eigentlich alles mit sind Erdtiere, sie kommen alles mit über, sowohl was passiert im Wasser als auch im Land. Und sie haben da den weiten Blick.
It works a different way actually. Land animals are not so connected to what's happening in the water, but in the water the vibration from the land travels through the water, so they are much more aware than land animals are.
Also die Landtiere, die sind sich nicht so bewusst, was im Wasser passiert, das aber umgekehrt, die Wassertiere, die wissen, was im Wasser und im Land ist, weil die Vibration im Wasser weitergeht, ja, im Land spürbar ist. Nein. Die Vibration vom Land im Wasser spürbar ist.
Thank you. Good go. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Ich habe eine Frage zu Führer von Projekt oder Gemeinschaft.
Are they guides of projects or community?
Yes, yeah, we've already worked a little bit in that field. Yeah, actually that's quite complex. So if you start a business or a project, then the project exists around you as an individual. And if you step out of the project ends. So it's like a very young baby that cannot exist on its own. But if you create a company and you start hiring people and the company gets bigger, it starts to form a consciousness, an awareness. And so it becomes something else. And even if one person steps out, it's still existing. The only issues that can have is if you take a company in one direction and then maybe the head guy steps out and a younger guy comes in and wants to change that direction, the company itself might still want to go in that way. So it's difficult sometimes to change a company over to a new way of being because it has an existence of its own now.
Also ganz das Projekt ist so, junge Projekte, die sind ganz nah verbunden mit Gründerin. Und und Heinz ist eigentlich wie nur eine kleine Pflanze, die aber noch nicht fähig ist, allein zu leben. Sobald der Mensch dann weggeht, geht das Projekt zugrunde oder weg. Aber mit der Zeit, wenn es stärker wird, eine Organisation wächst, dann kommt es eine eigene Identität, eine Entität über, die dann unabhängig ist, wenn dann der Mensch weggeht. Aber es ist jetzt schon so, dass natürlich, wenn jetzt ein anderer Mensch reinkommt oder das Wesen die Organisation in eine Richtung will bringen, wo das Wesen eigentlich nicht stimmig findet, dann kann das schwierig werden, dass es dann nicht funktioniert.
Ich habe eine weitere Frage. Are the guides waiting for us for a manifestation or something?
Was meinst du?
Ich hatte das einfach jetzt gerade als Bild oder Wahrnehmung so gehabt, dass also Zukunft gibt es ja so nicht auf die Art, aber für etwas, das Projekt, wo also das Wesen oder
im größeren Sinn meinst du, oder wie?
Im kleineren oder im größeren?
Ob sie das erwartet?
Ob sie wartet,
dass wir das Projekt machen?
Ja.
What have the wishes?
If they expect, waiting for projects, we're doing.
That we do something and find each other.
Aha, you mean like a project already has an existence, it's just waiting for you to start it.
Asking to come.
Maybe there's like an idea, there's an idea, and if they want to, that we're gonna do it, that we manifest this idea.
No, and yes. So when you come up with an idea and want to create a project, your spiritual team are aware of that. Now, if they see it as something positive for you, they will help supply the right kind of connections, the right kind of energy to create the right kind of space for this project. But if they see it as something negative, that it's ultimately not going to be good for you, even if you really love that project, they will keep getting in your way because they see that it's going to lead in a very bad direction. So sometimes they support and sometimes they don't. But
manchmal dann zu unterstützen, manchmal nicht, je nachdem, ob sie finden, das ist im größeren Sinn nützlich für dich. Gewisse Ideen oder so sind eben nicht so richtig gut, positiv für dich, dann werden sie sehr blockieren.
So in the beginning, no, there's no entity in existence. The entity gets created by energy. Now, if you want to continue with a project that's not good for you, you can. You have free will. They will keep trying to show you, hey, this is not good for you, but you can still do it.
Du kannst es immer noch machen, weil du hast freie Wille. Sie tun es nicht so unterstützen, aber es ist trotzdem noch möglich. Aber es ist nicht so, dass es vorher schon eine Entität, eine Energie gibt von einem Projekt.
Jetzt, wenn jemand jetzt eine Besetzung hat, ist da, kann ja der freie Wille nicht sein. Oder wenn es besetzt ist von einer negativen Energie, wie ist denn mit denen?
What happens if somebody has like negative energy that's coming into their system? That they cannot, because it's not a free will, because they cannot change it. Yeah, obsession, yeah.
Obsession.
No, they're upset entered from external energies.
Yes. Okay, but that's really complicated.
Okay.
So that's a bigger answer for this. They have to subdivide that because there are some people who come here who choose negative experiences. So part of their experience is actually to come across negative beings, negative people, negative experiences. And so it is actually their free will sometimes to choose that. But we're not driven only by destiny, because if everything was planned out for us, then there's no free will.
Also wir sind, es gibt Menschen, die das wie gewählt haben, um auf die Welt zu kommen, wie von einem Schicksal, oder? Das anziehen. Aber es ist nicht alles ist Schicksal, sondern wir haben immer noch unseren freien Willen.
So maybe when you come here, you choose maybe 2 things or 5 things or 10 things that you really want to have in your lifetime. And those things you will have. But how you get in between those points, that's up to you.
Also es sind vielleicht wie 2, 3, vielleicht 10 Sachen, die fix sind, die du wirst erleben in dem Leben. Aber alles dazwischen ist wie flexibel.
And then within that free will space, you can come across negative people and negative beings, and that's something else. That's not what you've chosen, that's accidental things.
Also dort drinnen gibt es der freie Willenfahrt, das, wo du noch kannst selber entscheiden kannst, sein, dass eben negative Energie dir begegnet. By accident.
Yes. So you can walk down the street and get an attachment that's negative to you, but that's not your guide's doing it, or you haven't chosen it. You ask somebody to come and get rid of it.
Genau, aber was machst du mit denen, die plötzlich auf dem Nacken hocken, oder?
So you can use a bubble technique to protect yourself. It's a very basic technique. Yeah. And create it so that negative energy can go out but not in. If you create a bubble that's hard, like some people do, then if you're having a bad day and you try and get rid of the negative energy, it just bounces back off your bubble straight back. So it has to be flexible to allow that negativity out, but not in. And also you can use salt crystals, you can use lava, I can't remember the name, obsidian. You can. There are various stones you can carry to help protect you against these things.
And I have a question. I have knowledge about people, they hear or see or feel in this spiritual world and get lost because there are beings acting like they are guidance, but they're actually vampires or something, just
Yes.
energetically eating, and the people can not.
Yeah, we're lunch to some of them. That's true. But I mean, you eat carrots, so they eat us. Yeah, there are energy beings who. It's not personal.
Also die Frage ist, es gibt eben Menschen, die dann in Verbindung sind, geführt werden von Energiewesen, die eben nicht gut sind, die eher wie Vampire sind, sie aussaugen. Und was sollen sie denn machen, wenn sie dort gefangen sind?
But they can really get lost.
Und
They can.
sind sie ganz verloren.
And what do you?
Und was können sie machen?
Oh, excuse me. And what do you recommend to?
I trust my guides. So I work with my own guides, and if another guide steps in or another spirit being comes in, I check with my guides, is this one okay? And
fragt seine Geistführer, ob alles, was da sonst noch reinkommt, ob das okay ist, ob die gut sind für ihn oder nicht. Yeah, but you can talk to your guides.
Yeah, yeah. I know not everybody can, but actually I think nearly all of us are born with that ability, and material world knocks it out of us. Unfortunately.
How can we learn to be more connected?
Oh, that's a horrible question, because the spiritual world always come back with the answer, just be more connected. And that's, I don't know, I always argue with them and say it's not as easy as you're saying it is, and they always come back and say it is not that easy if you say it's not that easy. So I understand that I'm creating actually my own negativity sometimes by saying, no, that's more difficult. Well, yeah, if you believe it's more difficult, then it is more difficult. And so I think we have to learn to believe in ourselves, to know that we're capable of more. And intention is really important in the spiritual world. Setting the correct intention puts energy out in the right kind of way. But yeah, we don't trust ourselves. And actually we're taught that we only have a limited amount of ability here. We're only human. But we're also part spirit and we're part soul. So these things have a connection to cosmic Google. And so we connect to everything. And yet we don't believe we do. So I think it's the belief that's difficult to change. Not that we don't have the access, but we don't believe we have the access.
Also sie sagen, ja, wie können wir mehr verbunden werden? Sie sagen, ja, ist einfach mehr verbunden. Und dann, ja gut, das ist schon schwierig und so. Und sagt, doch, ja, es geht ums Vertrauen, es geht rein zu spüren und wahrzunehmen und zu glauben und eben all das, was rundherum einem anders will, sagen. Wir können ja, nicht mehr so wahrnehmen, sondern wirklich vertrauen und einfach in die Verbindung hineinzugehen. Wir können das alle.
Intention.
Die Intention. Und dann die Intention ganz wichtig, dass man auch klar ausrichtet, was wollen wir wirklich dort hineinspüren. Das ist ein starkes Instrument.
For a better understanding, that means that when I have a personal issue, I just call up my guide, my personal guide.
Yes, and depending on what that issue is, they may then hand that to the angelic world if it becomes too big for them.
Okay. And if I have a health issue, or when I'm doing my session, I just call up the healing energy, the healing guide. They know who to send them.
Also die Frage ist, wenn Sie ein Thema haben, das Sie beschäftigt, an wer Sie sich wenden, an welchen Guide genau oder wo, oder wer sagt dann, ja, die Guides können es dann schon weiterleiten an die höhere Ebene, wenn Sie es brauchen, aber trotzdem ist die Frage noch.
It's a really good question. All guides are good at different things, just like all humans are good at different things. So if you put the intention that you want to have healing energy, your guides will connect you to the right space in the spiritual world to receive the energy that you're asking for. So you don't actually need to be the one in control. You can just...
I don't have to know who is here.
No, you don't.
Because I can feel it in my hands.
Is that what you're saying? Or
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's great. But use your guides as the filter. So, you know, they know what is good and what isn't. The problem is, as we've discussed, there are some beings out there that may sneak in sometimes if we're not so careful, if we're not well protected. So if you're always using your personal guides as the middleman, they know where the right connections are.
And you call up directly, like I say the name, which I heard.
You can if you want to.
It's like,
That's absolutely okay. We're human. We want information. We want to understand everything. So we want names, we want addresses, we want dates of birth, we want to know where these people are. But actually, if you just say to your guidance team, hey, I need this help for this subject, they'll get on it. So you don't have to have so much control over it.
Also man muss, die Intention ist zentral, dass man weiss, was will ich eigentlich und das dann noch aufschicken und dann auch gerichtet auf deine Guides so, und sagen, hey, helft mir als Filter, wo komme ich Unterstützung über und Ich muss gar nicht wissen, wo jetzt muss ich anfragen, bei welcher Energie, sondern ich kann das den Guides übernehmen, weil sie einfach mehr Wissen haben, weil sie ein grösseres Blickfeld haben als wir. Und dort ist aber, but still it's important that we kind of feel our guide, so because this can be confused. No, people
It can be.
It's my guide, but maybe it's just.
It can be, and this is
So
where sometimes that gets confusing as to what you're connecting with originally. For me, it's all again about intention. Intention is really important. So you have to set a very clear intention that it's your guides that you are talking to.
Ja, das kann eine Intention sein, dass ich ganz klar sage, ich will jetzt zu meinem Guide reden und nicht mit dem anderen, sondern wirklich zu meinem. Dass das eine Kraft hat.
This was my question.
Dass keine andere drin ist.
But you don't have to know which one or who, because you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 7 of them. So you just need to know it's your team that you're connecting with. And they might then connect you with nature or animal world or the angelic world, depending on what it is that you're looking for. You might then the next day meet somebody out on the street who says something profound to you that changes your life. Because you've asked for this, and now the guides have found the right person in the right space to do that.
Now I have a better understanding. Because when the mind comes in, which energy I have to call up, then I
You get lost and confused, yeah.
Also, das ist das beste Verständnis, das ist auch cool. I have a question because soon the time is gone. To connect like or more on the collective, what if you get any information from your guides or maybe some from higher levels, what they would suggest us to help us as a collective now here, the people, for all of us, no? Is there any messages coming clear?
Yes.
You want to share now?
So actually this is also a partly answer to your question. If you want to connect with your spiritual team, they understand that as humans we need something physical to look at or to see. We need to feel something solid. We can't just trust. So they suggest you doing something physical, like for instance, if you want to make a space to connect with your guides, take a book, it can be any book, and when you open the book, that opens your connection to your guides. For other people, it will be a crystal. So you can, when you're holding that crystal, that's when you have your clear connection to your guides. That helps with us focusing something, okay, this is my intention, I'm focusing on this, and this goes to my guides. We have the power to do it here, but we don't think we do. So having something physical to focus on sometimes helps the connection.
Also es hilft sehr, wenn man etwas Physisches hat, wo man dann das verbindet, dass dann die Ladung, die Intention stärker wird. Anything else?
Patience, they always talk about this, having patience. We set these high expectations of ourselves that we should hear our guides. Now, everybody hears them differently. So, for instance, there's this sound of a bird all the time. Now, is that a guide from one of us talking to us? Now, we don't know these things, so we get confused by, no, I want a voice, I want words. But sometimes it comes in different ways. For instance, like I've said, meeting people on the street. A guide is working through that person to give you the information you have asked for. So we hear things in different ways. In the dream state, a lot of communication from the spiritual world comes during the dream state. We have the brain farts, our normal stuff that we have from our work or series watching or whatever comes up. But we also have a slightly different vibrational dream with information in. And we can also learn to tell the difference between the brain fart dreams and our special dreams.
Es ist wichtig, dass man wir würden gerne schnell etwas Klares und klare Informationen haben. Die können zum Teil auf einen Umweg kommen, wo man eben, es kann ein Vogel sein, der vielleicht mit jemandem redet oder jemanden, den wir treffen auf der Straße, der uns etwas erzählt. Und es können aber die Träume sind ganz viel ein Weg, wo sie mit uns kommunizieren. Aber die können wir auch unterscheiden. Das sind kleine andere Vibrationen oder Träume, die mehr einfach Verarbeitung sind vom Gehirn und andere sind wirklich, wo die Intuition mit uns redet.
Do the guides get annoyed when we don't listen?
Werden sie genervt?
Great question.
Wenn wir nicht hören.
Haben wir nicht alle das gleiche Ziel? Also, wir reden jetzt da so von verschiedenen Guides. Aber ich glaube, die Sehnsucht, die wir in uns haben, ist eigentlich alles die gleiche. Oder? Wir wollen eigentlich alle neu her. Ich sage jetzt mal da, in die höhere göttliche Verbundenheit. Oder? Und jeder hat da so seine persönliche Guide und dann streiten die noch untereinander und es irritiert mich ein bisschen.
Okay, zuerst Sie Ihre Frage kurz beantworten, nachher dann sagen, ja? Okay.
Okay. Annoyed, frustrated, I would say, is a better word for it. For instance, if you come to a junction and you want to go left or right, and the guides say, look, go left, left is better for you, you go right. And then you come to another junction and it's left or right, okay, go left, okay, he's going right again. And sometimes that gets frustrating for them because they keep giving us the information. They never give up. They will always continue to try and support us. But a lot of us don't take any notice of what they're saying. So it can be a little frustrating for them, but they don't really get angry about it, just frustrated.
Also sie werden frustriert, weil wir einfach nicht hören, oder? Wir sind Gang links, wir gehen immer rechts, dass sie dann einfach frustriert werden, aber nicht wirklich hässig auf uns. So, to her question, she asked, she says, yeah, but don't we all have the same goal? And sometimes she's irritated because now the guides are even fighting sometimes or arguing. So don't we want to go all in the same direction or?
What, to make money?
Also ist das Ziel Geld zu machen?
Nein.
No, actually some people are here to make money. And some people are here for personal development.
Some for both.
Yeah, some for both. Yeah. So are we ultimately all heading in the same direction? Yes, we are. We're all going back towards Source. That's. But how we get there is very different.
Can anything stop like this plan, like your soul plan? Can any dark forces stop where you actually want to go?
Kann dein Seelenplan gestoppt werden durch dunkle Energie?
You can have blips. So you can have moments where things go a little bit off direction until the guides bring you back in.
Es kann sein, dass es Phasen gibt im Leben, wo das passiert, aber Guides holen dich wieder zurück.
So there are times when we sometimes go in a bad direction, but we always come back onto our path.
Nothing can stop like that.
Ultimately, no.
Also nichts kann deinen Seelenplan und dem
Can trust.
You can trust, yeah, and you should trust, but also be careful with the word trust, because we as humans tend to mix expectations with the word trust.
Also ja, wir sollen vertrauen und es ist gut zu vertrauen, und trotzdem ist das Wort Vertrauen schwierig, weil man dort oft Erwartungen vermischen und Vertrauen, dass das nicht das Gleiche ist.
Is there
Time.
anything that your guides want to tell us all right now?
Last statement. Gibt es irgendetwas, wo seine Guides uns möchten erzählen?
Yeah. Okay. No. No. That I can't do. That I can't do. That's gonna. Yeah. That's gonna take all day. Actually, the
1,000 francs.
Only. The only thing that comments my guides came immediately when you ask for something is the word love. And that's actually all they want to say. It's just the word.
Alles, was sie sagen wollen, ist Liebe. Danke.
very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey. And thank you all for being here.
Yes.
Kannst du
Ja.